So today we are going to have fried rice for lunch. Now I always have a bowl of cold rice in the fridge because it is so easy to handle, and when you make fried rice you want the rice to be cold. So it was made last night and it's nicely in the bowl. It's a little lumpy, but that does not matter. So the first thing we do is we need an onion. We need some greens. This happens to be a bok choy type from the farm down the street. I also have a half a zucchini in the fridge, and that's perfect for it. A handful of little tomatoes that were also still in the fridge. And I happen to have some cilantro, which I don't usually have at this time of the year, but this time I do. And that was left over from the cataplana we made the other day. So that's all we need. Now, we also have a piece of pork roast because, as you probably know, the other day we made pork roast. So there's a nice chunk of pork roast, and we don't even need all of it, maybe just that much. We also have a little bit of smoked bacon. Again, that was left over from bacon and eggs the other day. And although you don't need it, I always like having something with a bit of a smoky flavor in my fried rice. Now, that might still be left over from my grandma. She always added a bit of kassler or something into any meat dish for flavor. So here we go. Let's just dice up the bacon. In fried rice, I usually like it in a small dice. Oops. There you go. Here is the pork. So again, in a small dice. Now, if you didn't have any of this, any kind of meat or no meat would work. You could use some salami, Bavarian meatloaf, ilona, or even some hot dogs. Bratwurst from the night before. This is a perfect dish for leftovers. So here is a shallot. It's a big one, so I cut it in half because the other half I'm going to use for something else. A clove of garlic. And then I'm going to chop up the zucchini. And again, in a small dice. Or any shape you want. If you prefer strips, that's fine too. There we go. Now, the bok choy, or the greens, if you don't have greens and you have some cabbage in the fridge, use that. That works really well, or kale works really well. Any kind of greens. Like I said, I just happen to be lucky to have all this good stuff at the farm down the road. And even in the winter, this is January, and they have this stuff in their greenhouses. Isn't that fabulous? And the only other thing we need to do is pick up the cilantro. Now, you could chop it up with the stems in, but I find the stems a little too bitter, but it's up to you. If you're good with it, use it. If you don't have cilantro, parsley is lovely. And as you know, I always have frozen parsley in my fridge. All right, everything is chopped up. And what I forgot, the most important thing is the ginger. Now, you could use ground ginger, like a teaspoon, but I love fresh ginger. And I saw somewhere some time ago that what really works to keep ginger fresh is to just keep it in the fridge in water, just clear water. And from time to time, you just drain it and put fresh water in. And I love it. It works so well. So here's a piece of ginger. All I do is take a teaspoon and scrape the, and I don't know where I learned that, but that is such a good way of peeling ginger instead of actually using your knife. Now, I like a lot of ginger, so I would probably use, well, this whole thing. or maybe 3/4 of it. If you use powdered ginger, ground dried ginger, be a little careful because it's very pungent and it can be overpowering. So just try with a few sprinkles and then add a little more, because like I said, too much might just be too much, especially if you're not really used to the taste perhaps. I, on the other hand, really love ginger and I use it for a lot of stuff. And look how clean that came off. It looks like a duck or something. And look how clean that came off. And the other part that I still have here goes back in the fridge, and it's probably sitting in here for 2 weeks or so. And it's still as fresh and crisp as can be. So now all I do is I'll chop it in slices. I can grate it too, but I don't mind the bite if I eat it and I get a little bite of sharp ginger. I like that. Not everybody does. So you could grate it or chop it really finely. Or what you can also do is you can just juice it. So that's the ginger. Now let's go over to the stove. Get ready to assemble the dish, and it is super, super easy. Don't really need that. What I do need is I need my frying pan or wok, and this is sort of a wok kind of frying pan. A real wok doesn't usually have a flat bottom, but mine does, and I really love it. But you can do that in any pot or any frying pan, especially if it's ideally if it's nice and wide. That really helps. So then how I do it is I stick like something in there, like a piece of onion for instance, and wait for it to sizzle, because you don't want to put stuff in a cold wok in this particular dish. You want it to sizzle when you put it in. So what else do I have here? Well, I have salt and pepper. Soy sauce, we use this is even gluten-free, even better. Didn't know that. We usually use a low sodium soy sauce because it's got a lot of salt in it. And today I'm adding some of the pepper flakes I have. And look, my onion is already sizzling. So if you come a little closer to see what's going on in this wok here. So onions go in. And we're not really looking for any major browning or anything. We just really, doesn't that look fantastic? Okay, now we wait for a couple seconds and then that's good. Then the meat goes in. And I have this on high heat. You can see how the flames are licking the bottom of the pan. And I usually would put the fan on, but it's just too loud. So just a couple seconds. Where's my garlic? I don't want to burn the garlic, so I'm putting it in now. Oh, I wish you could smell that. It's just so good. All right. It only takes a couple seconds. All right, and now the tomatoes and the zucchini go in. And we don't really want to cook it all to a mush. We just want to sort of kiss it with the heat. How do you like that? Kiss it with the heat. All right. Now my ginger goes in. Doesn't that look beautiful? All right, salt. Now I go easy on the salt because it is so easy to add later. I just don't like over-salted food at all. And pepper. Now I just really love these pepper flakes I found the other day, but they're really not necessary. But since I have them, they're not hot. This is not a chili pepper or something like that. All right. This bok choy goes in. our cold rice. And for that, I use my hands because it's lumpy since it's been sitting in the fridge since yesterday. And look how easy that comes apart. And it's actually fun to sort of squish the rice around. That's a real good mess. Look at that. Now the cilantro goes in. I'm mixing it up. And the flame goes a little down now because we don't really want to burn anything. And now the soy sauce goes in. All right, and our rice is done. Now all we need to do is serve it up. Now there's all kinds of stuff you could do. You could, for instance, instead of the meat, you could add slices of firm or cubes of firm tofu, or really anything you want. Chicken is good. And here we go. Now, you could add a little bit of soy sauce over top, but I just like it the way it is. Oh, wow. Should go in my mouth. I'm usually quite good with chopsticks, but I guess not today. And that's our fried rice. It couldn't be any more simple than that. So long till next time, and guten Appetit.